Join Linwood Jackson every Sunday from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. for the all-new Linwood Jackson radio show on WFAI 1510 AM. Every Sunday, Linwood will tackle the issues close to your heart, from civil rights to politics to community affairs around the first state and the nation. Linwood speaks on the issues facing citizens in our area on a weekly basis, but his show is so much more. Linwood will talk about his passions, such as dancing and traveling the world and helping people broaden their horizons while embracing different cultures. That's the Linwood Jackson radio show every Sunday from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. on the all-new WFAI 1510 AM.
Well, greetings, everyone, and welcome to the Linwood Jackson Radio Show. I'm your host, Linwood Jackson. I want to welcome you as always. That's right. We're coming at you live at WFAI 1510 AM, and you can log on anywhere in the world. Listen in. We got a big topic again, as usual, today. Got a special guest coming on. You know, it's a lot going on in Delaware right now. A lot of changes taking place that you need to be aware of. So in case you want to get involved, you can. One of the things out there is repealing the death penalty. Death penalty repeal, I think the Supreme Court just halted all the executions in Delaware for now. They're looking at it as a constitutional issue. They think that they're it's violating the Constitution, and so they halted all of them in Delaware. But all pending capital murder trials and executions have been halted until the Delaware Supreme Court can determine the constitutionality of this state's death penalty law. I mean, it's an issue, and but I think that we would go better as a people if we had our elected representatives repeal the death penalty system than to have the courts do it. But, the message, why kill people who kill people? Just to show that killing is wrong. That's the question, all right? And anyway, we do have some guests lined up today. I am looking to speak with Dr. Jack Sullivan, Jr., he is the Executive Director for Murder Victims, Families, and Reconciliation. Dr. Sullivan, how are you today, sir?
I am doing quite well today, thank you. How about you?
I'm fabulously well. Here in Delaware, we're trying to abolish the death penalty. We're real close. They actually failed in the House not long ago. 23-16, I believe, was the vote. And then shortly after that, the Supreme Court came down and halted all executions in the state of Delaware, citing constitutionalities issues, among others. They want to iron it out before we proceed any further. What is your organization doing at present with regards to abolishing the death penalty?
Well, thanks for asking me that. We have thousands of members across the United States who are woven together by the common thread of having had a loved one murdered. And sometimes we've had people join us who've had loved ones executed in prison. But among those who've had loved ones murdered, we network and we speak together to say we don't want the state to engage in murder, that is to say murdering the one who murdered our loved ones on our behalf. We're not about vengeance. We're not about punishment that involves taking a life. That's not who we are. We don't think that taking a person's life will bring our loved one back. We know that won't happen. And it won't help us arrive at closure or healing. And so we stand together to say, stop executions.
Absolutely. Here we are as a people. We want to stop killing. We want to kill people to tell people that killing is wrong.
Precisely.
What is wrong with this picture? We don't rape people who rape people because we know that that's not, the good thing to do. We don't torture people who torture people. That's wrong. Why do we kill people who kill people? And in Delaware, we kill people who don't even kill people. You can be an accomplice in a getaway car somewhere, not even near the scene of the crime, and end up getting the death penalty here in Delaware. We have some of the strongest laws on record. We'll kill people for anything here.
Yes. Yeah. There's just no justification in our minds for the state to engage in the grisly business of execution. And very often they'll do so, state officials will, under the guise of helping those who've lost loved ones to murder arrive at healing and wholeness and closure. And I fail to understand how someone else's death will help me arrive at healing and closure. My sister was murdered 19 years ago in my hometown of Cleveland, Ohio. And while the person who did this to my sister, or persons, have never been apprehended and no one brought to trial, my family stood firm in saying, yes, we're angry and we're shattered, but if you find the person or people who did this, we don't want the death penalty to be part of any sentencing at all. We do want to understand why, we want to find out what happened, and we do believe in accountability, but not as far as the death penalty would take us.
Absolutely. The cost that's involved with executing someone is a lot of money, and that money could be used to help the victims of family members. Tell us, what are some of the needs of family members who are victims?
Well, right away, in terms of economic needs, many families who've lost loved ones to murder have the immediate reality of paying for a funeral that they had not planned for. And while many may have insurance, a good number of people do not have life insurance on their loved ones. And so they're stuck having to pay a significantly large bill for funeral arrangements. And then other matters arise. For example, if the deceased person had children, well, how are those children taken care of? A spouse, how are they taken care of? Obligations, how they met. The list goes on and on and on. And even emotional situations arise. For example, when my sister was murdered, we took in, my family did, her 2-year-old daughter.
Oh.
Emotionally speaking, she struggles every Mother's Day because she doesn't have her mother, her natural mother with her, because she was claimed in a vicious manner. And so there's need for counseling and moral support. And when my sister died through homicide, I applied to the Ohio Victims Assistance Association or fund and requested assistance. And I received a message saying, we have your letter, thanks for writing us, and we'll get back to you. And that was 19 years ago. And we've heard nothing since.
Unreal.
Meanwhile,
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and meanwhile, untold millions have been spent on the mechanics and matrix of death in that state by the state itself.
People making money on killing, and people spending money, and this money nobody's recognizing or taking care of the victims especially with the regard of therapy. And there's a lot of people out there that's hurting. Depression, you're talking post-traumatic stress. There's all kinds of, you don't know what people think they're going through that. And that's on both sides of the fence, too.
Yes.
Just if they murder, my brother did a crime and he gets a death penalty, that's going to affect me and my family. And as he may have had children, the wife didn't have nothing to do with the crime, but they don't get any kind of treatment. They're suffering as well as the police officers, law enforcement, the correctional officers are hurt. There's a lot of people hurt behind the scenes with regards to doing this. Can you give us some other reasons why you oppose the death penalty or capital punishment?
I find it morally reprehensible. I think any murder is just that, morally reprehensible and heinous. And I believe that for the state to engage in murdering someone is just as immoral as when a killer, even a serial killer, commits a heinous crime and claims loved ones through those acts. Murder is murder. I don't place a value judgment on murder. Some people subscribe to the belief that they want to kill the worst of the worst murder perpetrators. And I don't know what that means. Mm-hmm. Because if you have someone killed in your family, that is the worst of the worst. There's no Richter scale where murderers are judged and put some kind of murder pageantry where we say, well, only these count for execution and these don't. every murder is horrific and heinous and the worst of the worst,
Absolutely.
and including those that the state commits. And so we say there's a better way for us to use our time, our money, our mental space, and we have yet to arrive at those good solutions that come from a field called restorative justice. But when we put our minds together under that banner, we'll see some clear ways to proceed that will not involve the state claiming someone else's life because they did the same to somebody else.
I got you, and I agree 100%.
Along with that, some people are accused, tried, and convicted and sentenced while being innocent.
Right.
And we know that people are being exonerated right now in many states around the country because they were falsely accused, falsely convicted, and falsely sentenced.
Poorly represented with legal counsel, if represented at all, tampering with evidence. It's all kinds of reasons why human error plays a big part in it, and not to mention, poor and destitute amongst us are more likely to get death penalty. We kill our young people, who aren't even adults, mentally handicapped people. Now, you're a reverend as well.
Exactly.
What would you say to your congregation with regards to stepping up and speaking out and helping with this cause? I know a lot of members of the church don't want to, for whatever reason, I guess they use the Bible. Can you speak on that a little bit?
Sure. I believe as far as the Christian faith community called the church goes, we have to live by a reverse Miranda order here. We do not have the right to remain silent amid suffering of any kind. Surely we speak out when people are killed through homicide. And we must also speak out when people are killed through state-sponsored murder called executions. Both are contrary to God's vision for who we are and who we are supposed to be for each other in this world that God still loves so very much. And so, sure enough, we all are upset and we're angered when crimes take place and people are killed. We're all angered and we all seek answers. And we all want to hold those who did these acts accountable. But holding people accountable must not involve having them killed by the state.
I know that's right. There are some people that believe, if Jesus were alive, Jesus Christ was executed, wasn't he?
Absolutely.
And if he were,
against the state.
and if he was here, there are people here being executed. If Jesus was walking, there's some people be sitting idly by and just watch it happen and not say anything. That boggles my mind. I can't, understand why more people. I believe if the church members rose up and spoke out more, then we can get the job done.
Absolutely, we are people that when our lives are animated, punctuated by the Holy Spirit, and we work together, then we are a formidable force when it comes to working for wholeness and for peace and for justice in this world. History shows us that, and even the current day shows us that as well.
Especially with the racial disparities that's plaguing our system right now. Why more minorities? We'll go to church and talk. Fannie Lou Hamer's famous quote, we can pray all day, but God ain't going to help us if we don't get up and do something.
Absolutely. And one thing about the death penalty, it screams very loudly that white lives matter. Meaning that if you kill a white person, you're more likely to receive the death penalty than you are if you kill a black person in this country.
I don't believe we need to waste any more time playing with this death penalty. It's just hurting too many people. The challenges that confront us, other issues in the criminal justice challenges, we need to be focusing on that. We convict the wrong guy. That means the guy that did do the crime is still running around out there loose. The money that we can save can go into law enforcement and better equip these guys to find these guys like homicide units. I know in our city, we for a long time went without a homicide unit, yet we had the highest homicide rate in the nation for a city its size per capita.
Yeah.
And why we didn't have a homicide unit? They said they didn't have the funding. It makes no sense. We do have a little one now. A lot of us think we need to be better. But again, they're saying we don't have the funding. But yet we're killing people on this end and then telling our kids not to kill. It's just all kinds of issues with that. And I'm just glad that you took the time to come on and speak with us. about your stance as far as executive director of Murder Victims Families for Reconciliation. How can people get in touch with you if they wanted your services? Some victims out there wanted to speak with Dr. Reverend Jack Sullivan, Jr.
We invite people to email us at info@mvfr, that is Murder Victims Families for Reconciliation, info@mvfr.org. Please email us. We'll respond to your email quickly and get you networked with us. Now, we want people who've lost loved ones to murder or execution to network with us. We have people across the country who will receive you into their network wherever you happen to live. And then we'll share best practices and resources with people who join with us and help them to tell their stories. One of our big pluses as an organization is that we have people prepared to tell their stories of pain and sorrow and transformation and speak their convictions as to why they feel the death penalty does not honor their loved ones, will not help them reach closure, and will not help them arrive at healing.
Now, do you guys take donations?
We absolutely do. On our website, which is www.mvfr.org. Yes, we do.
Anybody can join the Murder Victims Families for Reconciliation?
Well, we have a category for those who've lost loved ones to murder and execution, and also a category for those who are friends of those persons as well. They may join.
A lot of help, and resources are out there available, but you got to reach out and ask for it. It's there. I wish the states that murder people would can put some funding towards helping people.
Absolutely, because when the lights go off and the police leave or when the funeral ends, those who lost loved ones to murder really need somebody to step in and give them assistance and continued care and support as they grieve and try to rebuild their lives. It's not an overnight process. Every family has its own story, its own timeline, and no one can tell them snap out of it or stop grieving because they have their own timelines, and we must honor what those are and do our best to stand with those families.
And it's a lot of people affected, a lot of families, the extended families out there receiving no help. That bothers me to no end. Because all it does is perpetrate. It just keeps going. We still got to live in this society with these issues, and that's why we commend people like you and others who are stepping up and trying to get this issue resolved, the death penalty. I know you've worked on this issue in Missouri, Ohio, North Carolina, all over the country.
Yes, I have in Washington State as well.
Yeah. And what do you say when you get to these different places? What's your main point that you want to get out?
I lead off with my story. My sister was killed 19 years ago during a point where she was trying her very best to move forward with her life. At 21 years of age, she was murdered. And the family, we grieved, and we still grieve. We were angry, and we wanted the person who did this to be held accountable. We never found him or her. But we also want the state not to engage in any execution practices concerning that person. We wanted to find out answers. Why did you kill our loved ones? What was going on? And work together with the state to figure out some constructive ways to hold that person accountable. That's what I say essentially when I'm on the road.
The Murder Victims Families Reconciliation, you can donate, you can volunteer. You guys have events all over the country. What's your upcoming event that you have?
Well, we're actually planning a conference call meeting, inviting people who have interest in learning what people need when they've lost a loved one to homicide. Stay tuned to our website. We'll announce the dates for that, but anybody can call in and be part of this conversation. We've got people who have lost loved ones who put through homicide and can tell you their stories and what they needed. We hope to be able to engage a lively conversation with people around the country as to what is needed by these families and what people can do to support them during their times of extreme need and hurt.
And you have organizations lined up that specialize in victim assistance.
Yes, we partner with several. You can see on our website of people around the country who run organizations that provide assistance and support and counseling to those who've lost loved ones to murder and who can help with grieving issues and so forth. Yes, on our website we have links to those organizations.
I'll tell you what, is much needed counseling and services for sure. You gave out your website, and we can get in touch with you. Anybody listening, you're available to speak.
Yeah, I'm willing to go anywhere I can to help spread this message and build up a base of people who speak out of their pain and say no more pain, no more death.
We're down to the minute, sir. We're getting ready to take a break. Can you give us any closing remarks, anything you want the people to know?
Well, we believe very strongly that we can't trust a future that has no pathways toward people being reconciled with each other. And we want to open doors for folks to communicate and share their experiences and their pain and work together to arrive at pathways toward healing and wholeness that don't involve the death of people convicted for murder.
And you reach out to people through all of the social mediums, the Facebook, the Twitters, your website. Again, is www.mvfr.org for murder victims' families for reconciliation. Ladies and gentlemen, I am speaking with Dr. Reverend Jack Sullivan, Executive Director of Murder Victims for Families and Reconciliations, and we appreciate all the valuable information that you shared with us, sir, and your reasons why we need to abolish this hideous death penalty system that we have in this whole country. We're up against a break, sir. Can you take us in?
Yes, indeed. I'm Reverend Dr. Jack Sullivan, Jr. I direct MVFR, and you're listening to the Linwood Jackson Radio Show, and we'll be right back.
Thank you very much, sir. Have a great day, and keep up the cause. We got you.
Thank you very much. You too. Thank you so much.
Hey, and you're listening to the Linwood Jackson Radio Show. As we get ready to go, let me let you know that I appreciate you listening. Thank you for spending time with me. And at no time do we condone wrongness, no matter what side the fence is on, okay? Killing is killing. We need to stop all of the killing. Don't kill on my behalf. They got to get this death penalty abolished, all right? Remember, if you can dance, you can walk. This life's a dance. Learn as you go. Sometimes you lead, and sometimes you follow. So don't worry about what you don't know. Life's a dance. You learn as you go. Ladies, meet me on the dance floor. Guys, meet me there. Hey, I'm out. See you next Sunday. Have a blessed one.
Linwood Jackson, the Linwood Jackson Show. Linwood Jackson, the Linwood Jackson.